Hello, YouTube world. I'm actually feeling really nervous to do this, but I'm just going to really try to be myself and yeah, we'll see how it goes. But first off, before I introduce myself, the whole reason that I'm doing this is because I'm a huge believer that we go through things in order to help other people to go through similar situations who are struggling. And I have been a huge recipient of that my whole life, which I'm sure I'll talk more about maybe in this video, maybe in other videos. But I have definitely benefited so much from other people being willing to step outside of their comfort zone and share like the hard things that they've gone through and what's helped them through it. And so that's my goal in doing these videos, is that I can be that source for somebody else. Even if it's just one person, if what I've gone through can help somebody else, that's my whole goal. So that's kind of the background. But to introduce myself, my name is Charlotte. I am 23 and I am in my first semester of nursing school, which is exciting. So that's kind of what I'm up to right now in my life. But the purpose behind me wanting to start these videos is that 2 years ago I was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. And a lot of people who aren't really sure what that is, I'll be like, oh, well, have you heard of Crohn's disease? And a lot of times they have. And so I'll kind of start basing off of that it's a form of irritable bowel disease. It impacts pretty much every aspect of my life, especially when I'm flaring and having my symptoms. But the difference between the two, if you're not familiar, is that Crohn's disease is the whole digestive system. It goes from your mouth to your anus, pretty much. Like any part of your digestive system is affected by the swelling and the inflammation and the ulcers and all the horrible symptoms that come along with it. Whereas ulcerative colitis, those symptoms remain within your colon, in your digestive system. And so that's what I wanted to start with this first video, is kind of my diagnosis story. My diagnosis is a little bit unique in the way that it came about. So when I was 8 years old, my mom passed away from colon cancer. And obviously that was really hard for me and my family. That is something very dear to my heart, and I will talk a lot about my mom because she is a driving force behind everything that I do. So you'll get to learn a lot more about her. But anyways, she had colon cancer and ended up passing away when I was 8, and my family has a lot of digestive problems. So obviously that's a big one, colon cancer, not good. And then my brother, when he was 23, he had a colonoscopy and they found precancerous polyps. And that scared me. Knowing my mom's medical history and then my brother having that, obviously they were able to remove those. But that freaked me out. And so when I was 21, I was like, okay, my turn. Like, I would like to have a colonoscopy just to check things out, to make sure that there's nothing bad going on. And so I went in and I had my colonoscopy, and afterward the doctor came out and talked to me, and he told me, he's like, we found one polyp that we removed and they biopsied it and tested it and it wasn't precancerous, so that's good. But he said, we found something else. He said there was inflammation that we found in your colon, which we also biopsied, and we're going to send off to get some more information about what's going on there. And for me, my biggest thing was I was worried that I would have cancer or precancer, like developing, knowing my family history. So just hearing that wasn't a problem, that was a huge weight off my shoulders, and I wasn't really worried about the other stuff. That was my main concern and reason in going and getting the colonoscopy in the first place. I wasn't having any symptoms that were concerning to me, like with my body, so I was good. And I later, the doctor reached out and let me know that the biopsy results from the inflammation came back as having ulcerative colitis. I had never heard of this, and since I wasn't having any symptoms, I wasn't really concerned. I was like, okay, well, and even the doctor really didn't seem that concerned either. He's like, you might need to be on some medication, but that's pretty much all he said. And so that was in January of 2018. And so he put me on some medicine, and I was taking that up until August. And I wasn't having any symptoms. I was feeling totally fine. And so I reached out to the doctor, and I was like, I'm feeling fine. I don't really want to be taking this medicine if I don't need to be. And I was getting married in August, and he said, okay, well, wait until you get back from your honeymoon, and then you can try reducing the medication by half. And if you feel okay, then you can like keep reducing it and stop taking it. I was like, okay, that's fair. So went on my honeymoon, had a great time, came back and started reducing that medication by half. And it's a more like it's a medication that takes longer to, it's not like you take it and feel a difference that day. It takes time to like build up in your system and have its effect. And so after a couple weeks, I started to not feel good. And I started having bleeding, which really freaked me out. Again, with my mom's medical history, that I was going to the bathroom and there was just this blood coming out of me. That really freaked me out because, especially with colon, like with the colon cancer, you think bleeding, not good, like blood and stool, not a good combination. And so I reached out to my doctor, and that's kind of where it all started. So from January when I was diagnosed until September, I didn't have any problems, any issues. And then since then, it has been crazy. I had a flare-up in September. I had a flare-up again in January. I had a flare-up then again in March that lasted until May. And then we were into 2019, and I started flaring and getting sick again in July, and now it's February of 2020, and I have been sick since July. And it has been really hard. And I'm planning on doing a whole separate video where I just talk about the emotional aspect and how hard it is to have a chronic illness, and just kind of that weight that comes with it. It really is something very hard. And I think knowing that there are other people who are going through something like that helps us to feel a sense of unity and strength from each other. And so, whether you also have ulcerative colitis, whether you have Crohn's disease, whether you have a different autoimmune disease, or another chronic illness or chronic pain, I hope that you can feel that I sympathize with you, and that I want you to know that you're not going through this alone, because honestly, it is so hard regardless to go through something like this. And if you don't feel like you have people there with you, it can be absolutely unbearable. And so that's kind of my diagnosis story. Every time I talk with my doctor, he's like, yeah, you're kind of weird because you didn't even come in for symptoms. But let me tell you, I've had symptoms now, all of them. The abdominal pain, the cramping, the lots and lots of blood. I've pretty much had diarrhea since July, and every time I go to the bathroom, it's just blood. And I go to the bathroom between 8 and 10 times a day, and it is very urgent. As soon as it hits, I have about 10 seconds to get to a bathroom. And obviously that can be very embarrassing to deal with as well. But anyway, that's kind of my introduction to my diagnosis and how I came about knowing that I had ulcerative colitis. And I'm excited to share my journey. Like I've said, I hope that I can help other people who are going through something similar to know that they're not going through it alone, to know that they have people who they can reach out to and who understand and want to help them. And I'm excited. Like I said, I've been able to have a lot of experiences these past 2 years that have been very hard, that have been eye-opening, that have taught me a lot, and I'm excited to share those with you guys. Things from, what to take when you have to stay in the hospital, to how to work with your work or school when you're having issues like this. How to have a good support system, how to react when people give you advice that you don't really feel like is good advice. you know, there's a lot of things that I have learned that I'm excited to share, and I'm excited to get to know you guys. I hope that you'll comment and let me know things that you like about this video, things that I could do differently to improve. I'm very new to all of this, but again, I want to share what I've learned, and I hope that you guys all can feel that you don't have to go through those things that you're going through alone. And I look forward to doing my next video and to just get to learn and share these things with you. But yeah, that's all for today. And I wore purple, kind of. It's hard to tell. It's a purple because that's like the color for irritable bowel disease. So I wore that to represent. I want to be an advocate for chronic illness and for chronic pain and things like that. I don't want to hide it. I want to share it so that we can all be stronger together. But I look forward to talking with you guys again soon. And for now, bye.